G'day and welcome to Kenty Blitz, your daily hit of NRL news. Kenty, what a weekend.
One of the great weekends of footy, wasn't it?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. You know what's fascinating? I understand the need for night football, but day football provides something that we saw in that game. And what I mean by that, the drier conditions, there's no dew, the grass is dry. It just lends itself to better football. I know the two teams that played, Canberra and Brisbane, were like they're almost made for that kind of football. But I tell you what, it brought back a lot of thoughts about, wouldn't it be nice if we had more afternoon footy during the playoffs? I get you can't do it with the TV stuff, but I tell you what, they just put on a performance, both those teams, that really, mate, I think that's one of those games we'll be remembering for a long, long time.
I think if anything, it kind of confirms we need that 4 o'clock kickoff for the grand final.
Wouldn't it be wonderful? Yeah. It won't happen because
No, it won't happen.
the TV audience is just too big for at night time, which is one of the things the AFL really battles with, that they maintain the tradition. I respect the fact that they do that, but it generally means that their TV audience is not as big as it could be. But anyway, so be it.
So we've got the finals draw now. The Raiders play the Sharks on Saturday.
Yep.
And then on Sunday, the Bulldogs, Panthers.
Yeah. And again, look, normally everything we have seen the past few months, you would say, well, Sharks are probably not going to be good enough, but their past two performances have been tremendous. I would dare say that they are the team that are probably the 4 team of those 4 teams playing over the weekend. And then Penrith were very systematic, as they are, against the Warriors last weekend. Got the job done, and they're just building themselves. I think the Bulldogs are still in the fight. I know there's a lot of talk about Crichton being injured, that there goes Crichton, there goes the Bulldogs. There's going to be some really interesting things happen next few days, we assume, with the Bulldogs and what they do there. But I think there were good signs there in their performance over the weekend. And then obviously the Raiders, their big problem will be whether they can emotionally get back up again in the 7 days it's going to, or 6 days it's going to take.
So what does Ricky do now? Because the come down must be enormous.
Yeah, the hard thing for the Raiders was they had the game won twice, and they had that emotional overload. We saw the players celebrating on the field twice for winning the game. Then they lose the game in the manner they did. And it will be gut-wrenching. Ricky Stewart addressed it after the game. He spoke about the fact that he said, if you're not disappointed, then you shouldn't be here. But he said his job was to pick himself up first, because he's as shattered as anybody, but then also pick the players up. He'll give them a couple of days rest, basically go away, just do your rehab, have a stretch, work on whatever injuries you've got, and even try and get your head away from it. But there'll be
very
real
difficult
emphasis.
to do that.
It is, but there'll be a real emphasis on guys when we come back to training. This will be the message. When we come back to training, we are all looking forward. We're not going to walk into training and still be thinking about how close we came and what could have and what should have happened and all that. So it'll be go away, get yourself ready, process what happened. So by the time you come to training on, whether it's probably Wednesday, that they'll head back to training. And it'll just be a message of, okay, boys, last weekend is done, and everything we do from here on is about going forward and obviously beating the Sharks on Saturday night.
It was a big weekend of footy, and we've got a lot to discuss. I just want to get your quick thoughts on, first of all, Friday night's game. What did you think of Melbourne, and what did you think of the Bulldogs?
I think Melbourne are still out of sorts a little bit. I thought we talked about the Bulldogs. They, in some ways, had a stroke of luck with the injury early on, with Toby Sexton getting on the game early. And everybody that knows a lot more about rugby league than us talks about how composed and how more settled the Bulldogs looked, with Toby Sexton coming on, running the team, Galvin playing at 6, and off they went. The interesting thing there, Phil Gould said before the game, Sexton was put on the bench because of his utility value. Greatest crock of shit you've ever heard, okay? That's if that's what you were looking for, then you would have started Reid Marnie and put Bailey Howard on the bench, because he's got more utility value than Toby Sexton. I think it was a sort of a backdoor way to not admit there's fault there, to not admit they might have got it wrong with Toby Sexton, but to get him in the game and see how he goes. Now, he got in the game and he went terrific. So there's going to be a big move, I think, to put him back at number 7 this week.
And Burton goes to centre to cover
Bergen
Crichton.
goes to centres to cover Crichton, and then Galvin goes to 6, which is his natural position.
Yeah.
And it makes far more sense. And again, everybody that knows football will look at it and go, this is the way it should go. And I would dare say, to Gould's point, if you want utility on the bench, then you put Bailey Howard on the bench and you put Reid Marnie back in at hooker. That's the way the team looks to me right now. But a lot of egos are at play here. There's a lot of things have been said that if that's the way they go, it's got to be a big turnaround from Canterbury and what their mission is for the year. Now, they are also in an elimination game. So
And
there's no second chances if they get this wrong.
And they can use those injuries as a bit of a get out.
They can. But if they want to, and I'll use the word stubbornly, if they want to stubbornly stick with Galvin at 7, but Sexton still comes off the bench. They may move, leave Burton at 6. If they want to stay with that and try and find another way around it, well, they're basically, it's an all or nothing play, isn't it? So it's got to be very interesting to see which way they go. I think that one makes far more sense than the other, but that said, they're the experts. So we'll wait and see.
Saw this morning that Bailey Hayward missed 15 tackles.
Yeah,
he had 51 tackles, so he was the highest for the Bulldogs, but also missed 15.
Well, Melbourne clearly targeted him. The fact that he's been coming. He spent a lot of the year on the bench, coming on as a utility. He's not playing 80-minute games. They tried to wear him down.
He did play 80 on the weekend.
Yeah, he did play 80. He has been when he's been a hooker, been getting through the minutes. But they still target him. He's clearly the smallest player. We've spoken about the vulnerability of Canterbury is their smaller forward pack, and he's the smallest in the pack. So it just made sense. And Melbourne did exactly what you expected. They just ran a lot of big guys at him. So he's going to miss those tackles. Anyway, but I thought Canterbury were really brave. And I know they're getting a lot of start. Everybody said, no, Crichton, they're out. But I still think there's a hope. Melbourne aren't firing as Melbourne can.
What about in the Penrith Warriors game? What did you see?
Penrith, look, I thought the Warriors were terrific. The way they just fell short where we know they're short, which is they just lacked that halfback getting around the paddock. A little bit up front, Mitch Barnett not being there, but they were brave. They took the contest to them. I think there were times there they were the better performing team. But
weather probably played into it a little bit. It was damn hard to push the ball around.
Yeah, but Penrith are just so disciplined. It's so comfortable staying in the grind. And Penrith just stayed in the grind, happy to sit there, happy to just keep working, keep doing what they were doing, playing their kind of football.
So experienced, right?
And just waiting for Melbourne, for the Warriors to kind of self-destruct a little bit. They didn't self-destruct, but the odd error here and there that then Penrith really capitalised on. And I just thought it was an accomplished performance from Penrith.
What do you think of the Roosters against the Sharks later on that night?
Again, they got a little bit careless with the ball.
The halves didn't seem to click in that second half.
I just think they panicked a little bit. I think the youth probably through the spine probably came to the fore a little bit. That they haven't had a lot of those big games at this level to sort of really find their composure. And I just think that the Roosters they weren't quite right. I think they tried to play their footy, but Cronulla were just very tough too. Like Cronulla's improvement in the past couple of weeks. I know they've got. You look at their draw and what their recent results. They've got a bit of form behind them, but their improvement in their aggression and their consistency from minute to minute. That's what's really improved in Cronulla. They're in the dogfight now, Cronulla, and they actually look comfortable in it. There's periods this year where they weren't comfortable in it, where they've just really struggled to sort of maintain their kind of footy. I've spoken before, what's their identity? They're a hard team to sort of pick. When Cronulla are playing great, what do? Well, we're seeing that now. They're fighting for everything. Their defence is the big part of their game. We always look at Cronulla's attack to try and look at who they are. Defensively, they're coming to the fore. So I like what Cronulla did on the weekend.
Well, there was big question marks over their halves, but I thought Trindle was exceptional on the weekend. Really stood up.
Well, they found this new model, Cronulla, and it's coming off Brayley getting out of dummy half and just basically getting that momentum forward. Trindle is I think the superior shot caller over him and Nico Hines. So even though they're wearing 7 and 6, they've almost gone back to what they did last year, where last year they were Hines still in 7, Trindle in the 6, but they played the opposite role.
Good point.
And they're doing that. They did that on the weekend. Trindle was the guy that running the team, and Hines basically just went back to his running game. That's his best football. So they've done that. I like the way Fitzgibbon sort of. Well, he just doesn't. He just keeps the same number jersey on their back, and a lot of people hoodwinked by it. But they're going to be tough to beat. They've got a big game, and if they get the Raiders, the big danger for the Raiders is they'll start slow because emotionally they'll still be down, and if Cronulla can get away from them, it's going to be.
They are playing at home though, Canberra, so you'd hope that that'll lift them.
Well, it will lift them somewhat. There's no doubt about that. So
the crowd was great down there.
Anything can happen.
Kenty, talk to me about yesterday when Reece Walsh gets sent off or gets sin-binned.
Yeah,
and then shortly after, Paddy Carrigan gets sin-binned. What are you thinking? Sitting at home,
I thought Ashley Klein had a really poor game. Okay, now the headbutt. This is a funny one, okay? So let's sort of break it down. We'll go incident by incident. So the headbutt from Reece Walsh on Hudson Young comes about because he makes a mistake. They make a mistake, the Broncos. Hudson Young basically sledges Reece Walsh over it. Reece Walsh headbutts him. Now, wouldn't bust the skin on a rice pudding, okay? But that said, it was a headbutt. It was a headbutt. Under the rules, a headbutt is a send-off offence. Klein instead elects to sin-bin him. Okay, that's unusual. It wasn't like it was like a push or a nudge. It was a headbutt. Again, not a lot in it, but he elects to sin-bin him. But he also elects to sin-bin Hudson Young for provoking him. Now, I've not seen a player in the game sin-binned for a sledge. Ever. I've never seen that happen. And to get for a couple of spoken words to somebody to get the same punishment as the player who delivers a headbutt, and then the penalty goes against Canberra.
Yeah, that was madness.
Well, that to me just showed that the situation overwhelmed Klein.
He lost control.
Yeah, I think there's a few incidents throughout the game where I think everyone stood back a little bit perplexed by it all. So I think they got it wrong. Now that said, Reece Walsh has gone. They've laid the charge today, and he's been basically cleared to play in the preliminary final when they play in a fortnight. He's got a fine to pay. I think that's fair. I think when you look at the scheme of things, it was not a particularly damaging headbutt. So I think from that point of view, I get that. So he's free to play. That said, he delivered a headbutt and Canberra got no advantage out of it. A player has headbutted one of theirs and they got no advantage because they lost the penalty and lost a player as well because apparently he said something so egregious that Reece Walsh had no choice but to headbutt him. It is absolutely ridiculous. And the NRL...
So what about Ricky saying the NRL set a precedent?
Well, they have. They have. But the danger, and this is one of the real failings of the game, is that the penalty gets paid forward. It doesn't get paid there at the game. Canberra deserves to be able to have the advantage there because of that. Given what words against a headbutt, okay? So I get Ricky saying that they have set the precedent. The NRL have again stuffed up. I think they've got it right at the match review level that he does play again. I don't think it was enough to suspend him from a game. He certainly should have been sent off for the game because of that's in the rules. That's the rules. It's like this was, and a lot of people got to go there. Oh, but there was nothing in it. Didn't hurt him. All the rest of it. No, it didn't hurt him. But it's like that. Yeah, the heap of sand paradox. You know what I mean? There's a heap of sand there. And I want to start another heap. I'll put one grain there. I put another grain there. I put another grain there. How many grains of sand does it take to sit there and say, well, it's now a heap? You can't answer it philosophically, right? You just don't know. It's the same as how much force in that headbutt is necessary for a send-off.
Yep.
It is a call. But the NRL, to get around that, they went black and white. They had a rule. Headbutt, you are sent off.
Do you think it was a headbutt or was it just pushing him with the head?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've had a few headbutts. I've had a few headbutts. But
look, it didn't work because he launched from too far away.
Yeah, okay.
That's why there was less impact in it. But it was still a headbutt. It was intended to be a headbutt. He dropped the forward. He didn't go up. A lot of times they go up when they try to push. Anyway, I'm not going to break down
Seems
that.
to be one of those kind of football stroke soccer headbutts where they get in each other's face and they kind of,
Yeah,
it wasn't a clean.
But it's a send-off.
I get it.
And that's where the NRL,
I get it.
That's where they let down the fans, and that's where they cause confusion in the fans, because you have a situation where everybody is looking at the different shades. It's a grey area. What shade is it? Black or white? It's somewhere in the middle. But the NRL brought in the black and white rule to try and combat that.
50 Shades of Abdo, you
50
think?
Shades of, 50 Shades of Abdo. Wouldn't that be frightening?
We read that book?
But I'm just saying, look, it's not Abdo's fault, to be honest. The rule was in there before him.
Yeah.
But it's once again the NRL failing to abide by their own rules.
What about Carl Stefanovic's quote this morning?
Well, it's the only place it's been mentioned. It's the only place it's been said. Reece Walsh, after the game, was interviewed on Fox and seemed in a very good place. He made no mention of himself. Don Ferner, the Canberra CEO, said he was in a tunnel at the time Reece Walsh was walking off, and he said it was so loud you couldn't hear anything. Now, I know you can argue Don Ferner, he's got like a reason to say that. But he also has a reason not to say that. As the CEO of a club where there's going to be an investigation, if it comes out that there was and he was lying, then he gets held accountable there. But I don't know where that came from. Carl is a very passionate Broncos supporter, so let's note that's it. It has not been mentioned anywhere else. Reece Walsh hasn't mentioned it. The Broncos haven't mentioned it. Nobody else has heard it. I thought it was a really irresponsible thing to say, to be honest.
Come on, Carl. Let's talk about Reece Walsh's second half performance, because
phenomenal.
It's that whole headbutting thing. Let's try and forget about that. His performance yesterday was as good as I've ever seen from any player.
He won Brisbane the game.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Like there was a period there where Brisbane were really getting rolled and Canberra was starting to really just sort of start to win the wrestle, and I think their fitness and just that their whole demeanour, they were starting to make a lot of yards, and Brisbane were nearly out on their feet. Two things happened. Reece Walsh and I think Canberra, I think they stopped playing. I don't think they choked. Some people said, they choked. They led by 16 points. They didn't choke. They just stopped playing. They tried to play then, not their game. They tried to play conservatively to just, okay, we're in front by 16. Let's try and shut the game down. 14 minutes to go. They're 16 in front. They tried to shut the game down. But by shutting the game down, you stop challenging the defence. And when you don't challenge the defence, it's kind of a rest for them. You know what I mean? They're just hitting it straight up. They're playing very basic football, so we don't have to do too much defensively. And you have a couple of sets like that, suddenly you get your legs back, suddenly they've got their energy back, and then at the same time, Reece Walsh takes off and starts doing what he's doing. The 40-20, the try assist. Like, he just went berserk, and Canberra let him into the game.
And the other thing we've been talking about all season is momentum in rugby league. It's very hard to stop.
It is,
and that's what happened.
And once it began, they couldn't stop it. And Reece Walsh wrote a chapter in his book last night. This is one of those games, and again, particularly if Brisbane finishes off the right way and win a comp, this will be one of those games that will sort of live on in folklore. Where we'll sit there and everyone will talk about the charge the Broncos began with Reece Walsh the second half after he came back from the sin bin. He was magnificent. And they don't win the game without him. So, and the best thing about it for Brisbane and Reece Walsh and for rugby league is for long time we've sat and debated about this kid who's got this, diamonds and rocks. Well, there's a lot more diamonds and rocks being produced now.
Yes.
And I don't think, other than the headbutt, he didn't do a thing wrong yesterday. And everything else he just did so well. So
And all the chat all season has been the team's been off coach and they're too fit and all that kind of stuff.
You know what? So they trained them too hard at the start of the season. They didn't like it. Players didn't like it. That was and that narrative has been going all season. They don't win the game yesterday unless they're fit, because Canberra are the fittest team in the competition. Canberra were going after them, and if the Broncos weren't as fit as they were at that period where Canberra took the foot off, they still would have had enough to get home if Brisbane weren't fit enough to come back. But Brisbane were fit enough to stay in the fight and won the game, let's remember, in the 93rd minute. So that hard work that they did, that supposedly they've all been bitching about all year, that's what got them home.
Crazy thing is watching the coverage. The commentators actually didn't really know what was happening in terms of the times, and they didn't really know of extra time or what was going on.
They got all that wrong. Look, the rules are simple. When you in semi-final football, if it's a draw, it's 5 minutes extra time, not golden point, extra time. You then play at the end of that. You then play golden point. So from the
unlimited golden point,
unlimited golden point from that moment on. You don't have 5 minutes and keep swapping around.
No.
You just keep playing, and you do that because you need a result. You can't come back on Tuesday and have a playoff again. So
the thing I found interesting about that is, what if there's a galing wind behind one team?
That's got to be factored into you when you win the toss. But when you win the toss, you have a choice which direction you want to run.
Yeah, but surely it's not just based on a coin toss. Whether you run
how else are you going to decide it? Though?
Well, maybe 10 each way. Anyway, it doesn't really matter.
So that's just going to confuse it then.
What about Paddy Carrigan's has been suspended for a week?
I think he's lucky he's only got 1 week, Carrigan. A grade 2 careless high tackle. It's fascinating to me that they keep grading these tackles as careless, not reckless. If it's reckless, he's out for the season. So they got a bit of a favour. But it was a direct shoulder into the mouth that knocked teeth out of Morgan Smithies. We're led to believe. I've been trying to sort of verify that today. They certainly said in the coverage he lost a couple of teeth.
Should be wearing a mouth guard, though. That doesn't make any difference if you lose teeth or not, does it?
Well, if you want to apply the Nico Hines defence as to the severity of the injury, where he got off the week before, then you'd say, well, guy gets a couple of teeth knocked out. It was more than just a love tap. So I think Carrigan's lucky that he'll play the grand final if they make it. That said, I'm glad he is, because I'm always of the opinion that I like to see teams at full strength. I don't like to see players on the sideline for it. Okay, but it was should
he have got sent off?
Under the rules, no. So this is the silliness of it. Under the rules, you say, Walsh should have been sent off, because the rules are headbutt, you sent off. Shoulder tackle like that, which caused far more damage than what Reece Walsh caused. Under the rules, no. If you want to start going down that track, that's one of those. You can remember the heap of sand paradox if you want to start applying that again. But how much force is enough force to get him sent off? That's going to be the question.
Yeah,
we don't have an answer for it, and that's when you have like a judgment or try to assess the level of force. Everybody disagrees. So you can't get an absolute answer. There's no black and white answer when you're arguing shades of grey. So, but that said, no, he shouldn't have been sent off under the rules. I was happy for him to get the sin bin as he is. That's the rule, sin bin. He's off, he went. And I think they got that right under the rules.
So Brisbane get the week off now. Payne Haas looked injured yesterday, so he'll get a much-needed rest.
I think they all missed this too. Everybody started to look at it whether it's a hip drop tackle. If you watch the replay again, all it was I think it was Starling was making the tackle. He swung around and the point of his knee hits Haas right in the belly of his calf muscle. And I think it's just a cork. And now the buggers are things to get a cork in your calf muscle because it's relatively small muscle, but it has so much control over how you run. But if you look at it again and watch the replay, it was simply a cork. The point of his knee, it wasn't a hip drop tackle. It was the point of his knee just corked his calf muscle, which made it so difficult for him to run.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't think that there's no charge. So I think they've recognised that in at headquarters.
With a week off, do Brisbane bring back Reynolds? And if they do, does Hunt go to 9?
I think they bring him back, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think Billy Walters keeps his spot,
I thought
right?
Billy Walters was tremendous.
And good to see Ben Hunt get that field goal.
Yeah,
After much maligned.
It was. Yeah, I tell you what, and he nailed it too. I loved how the hands went up
And then went
then
down.
somebody was like, "Hang on, is it there?" And it did come off the upright,
Yeah.
and hit enough of the upright that it didn't just keep sort of deflect and keep on its path, so to speak. It actually shot down. Given the shape of the ball and all the rest of it, and only just scraped over the crossbar. So he got enough of it or missed enough of it to get over.
Kenty, talk to me about the bunker yesterday. What do they do? Do you agree with it? Keep it?
Look,
You got to keep it. But
look, you know what? Yeah, okay, we like the bunker. We got the result. Now, I'm still not convinced that the Jed Stewart,
knock on.
whether he got the knock on, and if he did touch the ball, whether it was a knock on. The problem with the bunker, and this is just going to be a short whinge.
Yep.
Problem with the bunker is we had two magnificent endings yesterday, and the bunker killed the emotion in both of them. Now, by ultimately turning it over, yes, the bunker got it right. So we can live with that because they got it right, so we were led to believe. If they got it wrong, that elation that fans feel, that sudden burst, it just kills it. It just kills it while they sit there for 4 minutes trying to ascertain whether there was a... And in the end, the Jed Stewart one was it. They think he got a fingertip, like the pinky finger, touched it. The field goal, I think that was fair. Hoskins been charged for it. He should have been charged for it under the rules. You're not allowed to do that.
Crazy rule to bring it 10 out in front, though, isn't it? Like,
well, because there's a charge down. Yeah, that was. It's normally it's where the ball lands, but because it got charged down. It's fascinating that happened because I can't remember the 10 out in front rule.
No.
And I was wondering whether someone sort of quickly
made it up.
But I don't want to say. Look, I don't know. I'd have to check the rule book, what happens there. I'm sure they got it right.
Well, the other thing is he blew full time, right?
Yeah, he blew full time.
And the rule was...
But then we go back to the other silly rule with the... remember when the Titans and Tigers played and the Tigers got nutted right at the end and... Yeah, the Tigers threatened to sue the NRL over it and all this other rubbish, which was never going to happen. But the NRL, in their knee-jerk way, quickly ushered in this other rule that the last play gets examined by the referee. And look, this is the first time it's been applied since then, which was about 4 or 5 years ago when that rule was brought in. So it's been used once in the history of rugby league that we know of. It could have been used twice. But they brought it in.
And they used it yesterday.
I think once the game's over, the game's over. That said, if that's the right result, they end up getting the right result, which they did in this case. Yeah, you got to live with that.
So some news out of Newcastle is that Holbrook will be chosen this evening as head coach.
Yeah, look, that's if the reports are true. Look, Justin Holbrook, I think, has a very good understanding of entire club systems. He will come in and he will start to, I think, regenerate the Newcastle juniors and basically create the proper pathways where they've been derelict in recent years. And this is not just Adam O'Brien's watch, it was happening well before him. I would even go back to the Nathan Tinkler era where they started to lose a lot of juniors and haven't been able to hang on to them. Yeah, look, I think Holbrook's a very good coach. He coaches pathways well. He'll go into the nights. He'll go in and he'll figure out a whole of program type approach to it. To bring in the pathways to get those juniors coming through. We've seen the benefit of Penrith, Canterbury, these clubs, Canberra, who have put so much into their juniors and how they can benefit as clubs through that. The Knights used to have the best juniors in rugby league. They've let that basically wither on the vine. Holbrook, I think, will go in and fix that. He has that approach to club football. I think from that point of view, he's been an inspired choice. Brad Arthur was unlucky. He could have got the job from Leeds.
Michael Checker looks to be going to the Roosters to take over Holbrook's spot.
Yeah,
which would be good.
Well, yeah, and that makes sense. Like Checker is still doing his apprenticeship in some ways. He's looking for a head coaching job, which would take a great leap of faith.
Probably a step too far for clubs, yeah.
Well, look, but if he spends a bit of time at the Roosters, then he's got to put himself in. They'll start to see him as a rugby league guy, not just a rugby union coach. But Holbrook, I think that's a real positive sign for the Knights. I think he will. There'll be slow improvement next year, and it will accelerate over the years.
And Kenty, you and I were talking off air about an angle which we're going to hold for tomorrow because it's very worth hearing if if Holbrook gets appointed this evening. A little bit of sad news to end the show. Wayne Beavis passed away last night.
Yeah, just obviously we want to pass on our best to not just Beavis' family, but also that extended rugby league community who felt so close to him. I've known him since pretty much the beginning.
Beginning of your career?
Beginning of his career. His career took shape the same time my career started and ended. We had a chat about it one day. He said he had a look at me and just thought, no. But which is true. That's not just a joke. He did. He had a look and said, no, not for me. So he was obviously a very astute football judge.
Very good.
But
he was one of the great managers, right? They say the ARL wouldn't have survived without him.
Yeah, he was the first of the last great managers. And what I mean by that, before him, every manager that was around the game, there wasn't a lot around then, but they were dodgy blokes with ponytails and white shoes, righto? And eventually, basically what would happen was they'd get in, manage a player, and then find a way to rob him.
Yeah, right.
And Beavis came into the job and was entirely honest with his players. Never took $1 off him that he wasn't owed. And because he was so honest, his reputation spread like wildfire around the game. So players came from everywhere. There was a period there where roughly he had half the players in the game.
Unbelievable.
Under his watch because because of his reputation for being an honest manager to deal with. And clubs like to deal with him. Players loved being represented by him because if they earned $1, they got the dollar. And so he started that era. Then we got a lot of good managers come into the game who worked on the same principle. But obviously then that opened the door for the rest of the dodgy brothers to come back. I mean, they found the side door, and a few of them have come back into the game. So my advice to young players, be very careful who you sign up with. But Beavis he was a character. He was an old Sydney bloke, hung around the races, hung around the footy.
Very close to Gus, wasn't he?
Yeah, very close. Heard all the stories, knew all the innuendo, knew all the rumours.
Where all the skeletons were hidden.
He knew it all, and he's taken most of them with him. So, but
very good. Just
a lovely bloke. He was a friend of mine. He was a friend of a lot of people in rugby league. He was just that sort of character. So, very sad. I was actually talking to Sam Ayub on Saturday about him. I said, I haven't heard from him for a while. How's he going? He said, mate, he's not good. So, I didn't realise the end was that close. But anyway, we don't have enough good men in rugby league, and we've just lost another one.
Very good. Okay, guys, until tomorrow. See you then. Bye-bye.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.